realization of who I created God to be. How do you see God? What thoughts and feelings come to you when you think about God? What is your current image of God? Feel free to pause this video and think about that for a few moments, or maybe even write out your current image of God. Where does our current image of God come from? I came to the realization that I had created my own image of God. I had built him up in my mind, giving him false characteristics. I gave him a personality that he didn't have. How did this happen? When did this happen? Most importantly, why did this happen? In Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 2, Jeremiah calls this behavior out. You are always on their lips, but far from their hearts. Jeremiah is calling these people out for being hypocrites. You talk about God and you say all the right things, but how's your heart? And do you even know God? Unfortunately, I had created an image of God that he was controlling, a dictator, judgmental, a God who was not accepting or forgiving. And I realized that how I see God is how I see everything. And in my pride and in my desperate need to be in control of everything, I had created a God who was judgmental, that his first response and reaction to me was pointing out all my mistakes and flaws, that his role was to judge me. I also created God to be incomplete, that he was never going to fulfill all that I needed, that he would always be withholding. He would withhold forgiveness and grace and love until I earned it and achieved it. These were things that I had created. On page 71 from this chapter, I want to read to you. Do I believe that God is disappointed in me? Did God create me how he wants me to be? Was I created in his image with unique characteristics that are needed to fulfill the purpose that he willed for me to have? Do I believe that God loves me? Do I believe that this isn't dependent on who I am or what I've done? Do I even know that God is love? Do I believe that I don't have to qualify for his love? Can God actually be added to or taken from? Can I make his love for me possible or not possible? And will I choose to acknowledge his love for me? You see, for far too long, I had this false belief system that in the messiness of my sinful humanness, I had created God's characteristics. And you see, how I see God is how I see everything. I created all of God's opinions and views. I created God to be this figure of how I saw him, and that he would be who I thought he would be, and he would say and do as I thought he would say and do. I created that vision of him turning his head in disappointment of me. A vision that I held on to and not only held on to, but believed for far too long. Isaiah 40:18. With whom then will you compare God? To what image will you liken him? God's not man-made. More specifically, he's not Nicole-made. God and his love, they can't be dictated, controlled, earned, achieved. And in my pride, I was thinking that I controlled all that I had made God who I said he was.